Good evening. I hope you had a great day. I am having one, and want to talk a little bit about apologetics in general. We spend a lot of time making arguments about God and how to know that God exists. But when we make those arguments, we only are asking the question, does God exist? So all the cosmological arguments and the other arguments about the fine tuning of the universe and that sort of thing only provide information for us to be able to say, yes, I think it's much more likely that God exists than that he does not. So we're really talking about a very small thing when we're talking about apologetics at that level. Where it gets really interesting is in the area of revelation, because God didn't just put us on this planet and leave us without a means to know why we're here or what's going on. He gave us a sense of his presence, so many of us have an innate understanding that he exists. And he also gave us a desire to draw close to him and to know him better. In the middle of all that, God also began to reveal himself to us, and that's an absolutely great thing. In Psalms chapter 19, in verse 1 and following, it says, "The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge." So God was in the process of revealing himself through his works and what he had done. And then he begins to reveal himself to Israel. And ultimately, he reveals himself to us through Christ. John 1:14 tells us, "And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth." So God had a real interest in us coming to know him. And we now know not only that it is just more likely that a God exists, but we know who that God is because he has revealed himself to us. And that has, of course, changed our lives. It changes the way we think about God and the way that we do things. It gives us a sense of purpose and a sense of hope. In fact, in the book of Acts, Paul is talking. He says, "From one ancestor he made all the nations to inhabit the whole earth, and he allotted the times of their existence and the boundaries of the places where they would live, so that they would search for God and perhaps grope for him and find him, though indeed he is not far from each one of us." So God has put each one of us on this earth in a particular time period and in a particular place with a purpose in our lives, a teleos. And we are in the process of living that out. And that should be an exciting thing to us because we are working with God, doing what God has called us to do in order to see his kingdom enlarged. So we can take hope even in the worst of circumstances, even when things are rough. We know that we are here for a reason and that we are to continue to follow and serve him. So there is no accident. We are here for a purpose. We are here knowing that God exists and having a relationship with the God who has actually revealed himself to us. Thanks for taking the time to listen to the recording or the video. And I'd encourage you to come over to our Facebook page and join and participate in the discussions there. Have a great evening.